Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat. In this session, we will focus on the federal income tax consequences of a liquidating an S corporation. Now, conceptually, liquidation means the corporation is basically closing. Closing means going out of business, closing the door, terminating the business because the owners are no longer interested. Whatever the reason is, basically the capital account for the corporation is down to zero. It's a complete liquidation. This is what we are discussing here versus not a complete liquidation. We looked at those rules in a different recording. Now, the liquidation mechanics is a little bit different between S and C, a little bit different in what sense? In an S corporation, we have shareholders that absorb income, gain, loss that will affect their basis. But overall, it's basically the same rules as liquidating a C corporation. So a liquidation happens when the corporation distributes all the assets to shareholder and a complete cancellation of their stock. Simply put, what's happening here is the owners are selling their stock, 100% of it, back to the corporation, and the corporation is giving them whatever assets left, and they're closing down the stock, closing down the business, canceling the stock. Why would a company go out of business? Well, the company simply go out of business. They ran out of cash. They cannot operate at a profit. Maybe the owners of that S corporation, they want to retire. They're done. They're sick of this. They put their time and they want to just go on vacation permanently, right? Or it could be that they had a limited goal working together and that goal has been achieved and now it's time to end the business. Regardless, the point here you want to know is we are closing in a sense that permanently closing the company, canceling the stock as if we never existed going forward. This is what we will discuss in this session, starting with the tax consequences to the corporation itself, to the S corporation. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. You are here because you are serious about mastering taxation. Whether you are taking a tax course, studying for the CPA exam, or enrolled agent, tax feels overwhelming, not because it's impossible, but because it's dense, detailed, and often taught at a pace that doesn't match the way you learn. The rules can feel disconnected, and the logic isn't always explained clearly. At Farhat Lectures, we slow it down. We explain the why behind the rules, break concept into simple steps, and rebuild your understanding from the ground up without assuming any prior knowledge. When explanation matches your learning, everything changes. The confusion fades, the rules start to connect, and tax becomes manageable. If you are ready to understand tax with clarity and confidence, start your free trial at farhatlectures.com and let's build your tax foundation together. The corporation will treat the distribution, the liquidation, as if they sold it. Therefore, they would recognize a gain or a loss. What does that mean? It means when they distribute those property, building, land to the shareholder, they treat the transaction as if they sold it at fair market value to someone else. As a result, we're going to have to recognize a gain or a loss equal to the fair market value of the property distributed and the corporate adjusted basis in that property. So simply put, the S corporation itself will have a gain or a loss activity. How? Because the corporation itself will have to compute this at the corporate level. And this recognized the gain or a loss is reported at the corporate level. And how do we treat this gain or a loss eventually? It will flow through to the shareholders. And this is important because an S corporation is a pass-through entity. Now keep in mind, we cannot recognize the losses. Loss recognition is not permitted when the property is distributed to related parties, as defined by Internal Revenue Code Section 267, which we have a whole recording about this. You have to know about related party transaction. Simply put, when you deal with your own shareholder, this is a related party because the shareholder owns the corporation. Therefore, losses cannot be artificially created to
be deducted. That's the whole point. Now, the funny part about this is if we're looking at a GAAP or an accounting perspective, any dealing with your shareholders, you cannot recognize a gain because you don't want to show the gain. For financial accounting, for tax, they don't want you to recognize the losses when it comes to related party transaction. So those are the general rules. We'll work an example with numbers. Now let's take a look at the tax consequences for the shareholders themselves. So in a complete liquidation, the shareholder treat the distribution as if what? As if they sold the stock in exchange for payment from the corporation. So it's not an ordinary distribution, it's a complete liquidation. Complete liquidation means what? Complete liquidation means the corporation, the S corporation, will have to X out. They will have to bring all those capital balances down to zero. It means the shareholders will have to give up everything, receive payment of cash or some asset in return, and call it for the day. This means the transaction is analyzed very similarly to a sale of the shareholder stock. You're simply selling your stock. And if you sell your stock, guess what? You might have a gain, you might have a loss. How do you compute this? You would look at the amount that you realized. For simplicity, think of cash. You would receive other than cash. We're going to see what this is. And you would compare this amount to the adjusted basis. How much was your basis in that corporate stock? Now, the general computation is the amount realized computed as follow. Cash receipt, as I told you, usually it's cash, but you might also receive fair market value of property. They might give you stocks of other companies. They might have stocks in Apple, Nvidia, Walmart. They might give you those as part of the liquidation because they want to get rid of all the assets. They might give you a piece of land, a warehouse, a building. That's property received. However, any liabilities assumed by the shareholder, taken on by the shareholder, or attached to the distributed property reduces your amount realized. And we're going to see what does it mean in a moment. I have a whole slide about that. Then what you do is you'd look at the amount realized, which is those three together, and you compare that to your adjusted basis. And this is how you determine the gain or the loss. Are we going to work an example with numbers? Absolutely. Let's go back and talk about the liabilities or the effect of debt. If the shareholder assumes corporate liabilities, if they have a loan, if they have property where a mortgage attached to it, like a building, and they have a mortgage property attached to it, the amount realized is reduced, as I showed you, minus what you received. And this reduction, because the amount realized reduces reduces how much you received, it will lower your gain in the future or increase your losses later on, that's what you want. So for example, if they gave you a land that has a fair market value of 100,000, great, that's my fair market value is 100,000. However, with that land there was an attached loan. Well, you cannot really own that land unless you pay off the loan. So how much they really gave you? Well, they gave me 85,000 because 100,000 minus the loan is the net amount realized is 85. Now, if my basis in the stock, just kind of to show you how it works, I'm looking at an amount realized of 85. If my basis in the stock is 90,000, that's my basis in the stock. Now I have a loss of 5,000. If I compare the 100,000 to the 90,000 without taking into account the loan, I would have a gain of 10, but that's not what you do. The liability reduced my amount realized. As a result, I have a loss now. Also, if my basis were in the stock were 70,000, if my basis is 70,000, my gain is 15. Let's use something else. Let's assume my basis were 75,000. My gain is 10. Versus if I don't take into account the loan, and my gains will be 25,000, 100,000 minus the 75. So you want to know the effect of liabilities. And this is an important concept if you are a CPA exam candidate, enrolled agent, or an accounting student taking a tax course. The debt that you take on reduces your basis in that property. Why? Because you are responsible for that, as if you have to pay off that loan to do what? To get the property in your name. Therefore, what you received is only 85,000. Now determining the stock basis. We talked about amount realized. How about your stock basis? The shareholder stock basis in the liquidation is determined after taking into account all corporate activity for the year up to the liquidation date. So you don't take the beginning of the year balance. You will start with that, add income or subtract loss, ordinary income or ordinary loss by running the business, increase or decrease your basis by the separately stated items, and you should be very familiar with the separately stated item, either some pluses, some minuses. Then corporate level gain or loss recognized on the liquidating distribution. Then you take into account that liquidating transaction gain or loss, adjusting your account up or down. Now the sequence of these is important, so you have to look at these from 1, 2, 3 perspective. In other words, you have to say, okay, here's my beginning balance. Let me adjust it for income, business income or business loss first, separately stated item next, and third is my corporate level gain recognized on liquidating distribution. And this is important for the exam. Also, what you need to know is the character of the shareholder gain or loss. Generally speaking, we're looking at capital gain here. The character of the gain or the loss depending on the shareholder holding period, whether it's long-term or short-term, and whether the stock is a capital stock to the shareholder. Most of the time it's a capital stock. Capital in nature, whether it's short-term or long-term, depending on how long you had that stock. Again, you're selling the stock. That's what the transaction is all about. But you're selling it back to the corporation, and the corporation is deleting itself, deleting the stock that they purchased from you. In return, they give you something. Because they give you something, if it's more than your basis, you have a capital gain. If it's less, you have a capital loss. Now, if they gave you a property other than cash, if they gave you cash, it's easy. Your basis is the cash amount, right? $100 is $100. You cannot sell it for more or less. But if they gave you a piece of land, a property distributed takes the basis equal to the fair market value of the distribution. So what's your basis in that property that they gave it to you? It's the fair market value of the property. Should this make sense? Yes, because when the corporation distributed this property, they treated it as a fair market value sale. Therefore, they paid the taxes up to date. So when they gave you this property, they said, okay, here's the fair market value. Let's pay our taxes based on that fair market value. Then they gave it to you. It means the taxes are paid. The government doesn't care who paid the taxes, you or the corporation. But they're not going to tax you twice on the same gain. Therefore, if the corporation pays the taxes because they treated it as a fair market value balance or value, therefore you don't have to pay any taxes up to that. So when you take the corporation later on and you sell it above the fair market value, you would have, of course, gains. But what your basis becomes is the fair market value becomes your basis. And this is to ensure that previously recognized corporate level gain, because you already paid the taxes, is not taxed upon later selling the property by the shareholder. So the taxes are paid once, and that once is by the shareholder up to the fair market value. Now, don't get me wrong. If you sell this property for more than the fair market value, let's assume that when they distribute it to you, the fair market value is 100,000. Later on, you sell it for 125. You have to pay taxes on the additional 25K. But up to 100,000, the corporation. The best way to illustrate these concepts is to look at maybe an example or two. Let's take a look at this example that illustrates the S corporation liquidation. We have an ABC company, a calendar year, with one shareholder, T. Let's call them Mr. T. During the year, ABC has ordinary business income of 15,000. As part of the corporate liquidation, ABC distributed land to Mr. T. The land had a fair value of 120, adjusted basis of 70,000. T's stock basis in ABC Corporation is 40,000. What do we have to do? Determine the tax consequences of this liquidating distribution. It's liquidating, complete liquidating to both the corporation as corporation ABC and to Mr. T. Remember, In a liquidating distribution, we are assuming that ABC sold the land to a third party. Sold the land of a third party, it means we have a gain of 50,000. 120, the proceeds, less the basis, we have a recognized gain of 50,000. This recognized gain obviously will be flow through to Mr. T because this is an S corporation. Now basically this is the S corporation, we're done. What are the consequences for Mr. T, the shareholder? Well, Mr. T will have to update their basis right before the distribution to determine whether we have a gain or a loss. They started with a $40,000 basis given. The corporation made 15,000, increased the basis of Mr. T. Then the corporation sold that land, not sold it, they gave it to Mr. T, but we assume as they sold it and they recognize a gain of 50,000. Therefore, the stock basis is 105. Now we have to compute the gain or the loss on the liquidation. Well, they received a fair value property of 120 and the value of their adjusted basis of the stock is 105. Obviously, they have a gain of 15,000. This is a capital gain. Now, what's the basis of the land that Mr. T received? Well, the basis of the land is 120. Why? Because it was 120 at fair market value. The company, in quotes, sold it when they distributed, recognized the gain, and that's that. The gain is taxed. Now, what happened is when I take the property, the gain is taxed. Obviously, it's taxed by the shareholder. Now, when the shareholder got the property, they will take the fair market value of the property itself. Now, earlier I mentioned that maybe I misspoke earlier and I mentioned that the corporation paid the taxes. It means the shareholder paid the taxes. That's why what I meant to say is the shareholder paid the taxes once when it gets distributed to them, not the corporation. The corporation, the S corporation, don't pay any taxes. Now let's change the example a little bit and assume with that property comes a $10,000 liability. Well, the first computation, 50,000, does not change. The presence of the liability does not change the gain. It's 120 minus 70 for the company. Now, when it comes to the shareholder, we have to compute the adjusted basis, 40,000 beginning, plus 15 ordinary income, plus 50,000 in gain. Now, adjusted basis, still 105, the same. Here's what's going to change. The amount realized by Mr. T. Amount realized by Mr. T is 120 minus 10,000. The amount realized is 110,000, not like before 120. Why? Because the 10,000 reduced the liability, reduced the fair market value of the land. Now to compute the gain for Mr. T, 110 amount realized minus 105, the gain is only 5,000 versus how much it was before. It was 15,000. So the liability reduced the gain, basis of the property received, the fair market value, which is 120. Remember, the liability affect the gain computation, not the basis of the property. The basis of the property is 120,000. What should you do now? Whether you are a CPA exam candidate, enrolled agent, taking a tax course, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional resources, stay safe, and God bless.